What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda, where you will notice, keen observers will notice, that I'm not on mute for once. I hope. He glances down and he's not on mute. I hope you're all well. Thank you for joining me this evening again. It's great to be back. My favourite show, the 8:30 slot, ready to go. Thank you to everyone that joined me earlier on as well. Lots and lots of news to get through in what's been a really busy couple of days in the world of football. We've got the Nations League draw that's taken place. We'll, of course, talk about the Xabi Alonso situation and loads of other bits and pieces. Not yellow, I wish they were yellow. Blue cards, Thiago being injured. Paul Chapman, I want to take a second, mate, to say thank you to you for your kind comment. I noticed it at the top of the chat. And in answer to your question, I do unfortunately feel Thiago has probably played his last game for Liverpool Football Club. I say unfortunately because I'd rather he was fit till the end of the season, and if Klopp needed him, he needed him. But unfortunately, my man, it is what it is. And yes, he may well have played his last 12 minutes and had his last 10 touches for Liverpool Football Club, and what's been a frustrating last year and a half for him. But look, I hope you are all well. I love the way, by the way, when you guys come into the chat, you're just saying hello to each other, and it's great. I love to sit back and just watch the chat for a minute or two before I start and see how friendly everybody is. So look, you know the drill. We're going to go through all the news. Whatever topics you want me to start off with, let me know. I've got an interesting comparison that I'm going to bring up to try and explain what I think will be a better situation for these, what I think are ridiculous blue cards. I'm going to show you what we do over here in Ireland in the GAA, the Gaelic Athletics Association, and show you why I think that would be a better option for what they're trying to bring in football. But IFAB, in my opinion, are just making a mess of the game, but nothing new there. Yeah, look, on the Alonso stuff as well, I like to reward people who are in nice and early. Couple of things about that. There's a report come out today that said that Bayer Leverkusen are trying to target Julian Lopetegui, the former Sevilla, Spain, Real Madrid and Wolves manager. And so far they've been unable to get a commitment from him. But you ask yourself, if they're going that far already, what does that mean? Well, it means what we all think. That barring some catastrophe at this point, and I'm not saying I've information on this, I've got nothing. I'm not trying to be that guy. But it does look as though Xabi Alonso will be the one to be coming in. You've seen the reports that came out that said they were in touch with him since November. I don't know if that's true or not. But with them looking at Lopetegui, it looks like they're already lining up. So they're expecting to lose Alonso. And if we can accept that they're expecting to lose Alonso, I think we can all be fairly confident that if they do lose him, it'll be to us. That's what I'm taking from all of this. Now, friend of the channel, Mr. Ivan Schwakoff. Hello, Ivan. How are we, sir? He believes it's done. He's posted an image to say, breaking, Xabi Alonso will become the next Liverpool manager. I've no idea whether he's right, wrong, or what his information is. But either way, I don't think he's going to be wrong in the long term. As you can see, we've now got some new graphics up on screen as well for you guys. We told you we were working on stuff in the back end, and there you go. We're going to have super chats, be able to bring them up fully on screen as well. Glad you're feeling better, Craig. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Mike. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling a lot more like myself today than I was yesterday. And again, apologies to everybody for me not being able to stream for the past 5 days. It's been a tough few days, but on the mend now, which is a good thing. Black cards are weird, I think. They are, but they make more sense than the blue card things for me. And I will explain it when the stream goes on. What else we got? Do you think we can get Wirtz if Alonso's coming to Liverpool? I've got no idea. And I don't mean to be dismissive, James. Sorry, mate. I just don't know. I've no idea what to expect. I've no idea if Xabi Alonso will have an agreement with Leverkusen that he won't go back for a player. You know, I don't know, mate. And until we know who the sporting director is, until the squad is assessed, I guess, by Alonso, hard to know what the transfer policy will be. Now, on that though, I did see one thing today that, actually two links to, interestingly, both Fulham players. One of them is Fulham's centre-back, I can't remember the dude's name off the top of my head, he's 26. He's had a contract at the end of the season, so there's been a link to him. But there's also been another link back to Anthony Robinson, and I would like Anthony Robinson to come in. I've said this before. I don't think Costas is going to cut the mustard long term. I don't ever see him being a successor to Andy Robertson. So I've always liked the idea of Anthony Robinson, if that was an opportunity or if he was available for us. So they're two things I have seen. But again, I don't know who's making the decisions on transfers at the minute. Tosin. Was it Tosin? Don't know if it was Tosin. I don't know if it was Tosin, to be fair. But anyway, look, it's a Fulham centre-back, 26 years of age, who's out of contract. Don't know if that means that it's because he's free or if it's someone Liverpool have been genuinely keeping tabs on. Honestly, I don't know. I've genuinely just said to myself at the moment, forget about transfers. Don't even think about them because so many other things have to happen before we start worrying about the transfer business of next summer, in my opinion anyway. Craig, what games will Canade miss? Just this one, Carson. Just Saturday. 2 yellow cards means just 1 game suspension. So he will miss the game against Burnley and he'll be back straight after that. So you'd expect that either Gomez goes to centre-back or that Jarell Quansah will come in alongside Virgil van Dijk. Yes, that's the one. That's the one. The one John Deere put in. Adebayo. Is that his name? That's the one. That was the centre-back, mate. Yes, thank you. And Tosin didn't sound familiar. Yeah, Tosin Adebayo. So what? His first name's Tosin. There you go. So yeah, him. That's the one. Yeah. There you go. I don't know, as I said, if that's just because he's on a free or whatever, but that's the one. Thank you. This is why I love you guys, because I'm a forgetful idiot and you guys are great with the information. Also, one last bit of kind of transfer gossip before we get stuck into the blue card stuff and all. So Graham Bailey has said that Liverpool are keeping a close eye on Juventus Federico Chiesa ahead of the summer transfer window. They say they go on to talk about how many goals he scored across 19 appearances this season, blah, blah, blah. This seems to be the new link for Liverpool. Federico Chiesa and Liverpool have been linked now for, 4, 5 transfer windows since he's come back from his ACL injury. So, look, I've always said no issues if he comes back in. Or if he comes to Liverpool, he's a decent player. But I don't know what to think of transfers at the minute. Joe Morris said, Craig, would you take Diego Simeone at Liverpool and do you think he would fit the Premier League? Diego Simeone, in my opinion, is a football terrorist. I've said this many times. His style of football is monotonous. It is not easy on the eye. And I don't think he'd be a good fit for Liverpool. That's my take on it. I've said the other way, though, I could see Klopp ended up at Atletico at some point in the future. But no, not for me on Cholo Simeone. Mike, glad to see you're feeling better, Craig. Thank you. So, look, while we have the new system in place, we will do our best to read out every super chat, as we always try to do. But what we can absolutely promise you at this point is they will be displayed fully up on screen. But I will try and make sure to try and get through every super chat, because I know it's your hard-earned money and you don't know how much we appreciate it. So again, thank you to everyone that's sending them in. We've got lots of new stuff that we've built behind the scenes. We partnered up with Lineup Builder to do this back-end system that we have. So you're going to see lots of cool stuff. You're going to see Build 2 getting done over the next few months, where we have a few other innovations we're looking to bring in that nobody else in the industry, and I mean nobody, will be able to do or is able to do currently. So I look forward to you guys getting to see a glimpse of that down the line. Right, Thiago, injured, unfortunately. I thought the guy that owns Oosh sent me a message this morning saying, I kid you not, I looked down, it's Thiago injured again. Serious question on Thiago. Does he have to look at retiring at this point when his Liverpool career is up? Like, obviously, it's not our right to tell anybody when to hang up their boots. That's an entirely personal decision. But if his body continues to break down in the way it does, it must be demoralising for him, work, rehabbing, getting back ready to play 10 months after the hip injury, and he comes on and he's out again for a prolonged spell on the sidelines. It must be tough mentally for him to take. So I wonder, will he hang up the boots at the end of the season, or will he continue to try and push through? Susie, indie music fan, thank you for your super chat, my friend. Wish we could be blue card the bloody refs and VAR. It's ridiculous. So, on the blue card system, and thank you for leading me in, Susie, I appreciate that. So, I don't like it for a couple of reasons. Reason number one is What happens when the player's on the sideline for 10 minutes? No, do you know what? Let's rewind it right back a little bit further again and we'll talk about the introduction of it and what it is. So the blue card is being considered by IFAB, the lawmakers of football, as an option for referees to give a player a sin bin of 10 minutes for dissent back to the referee or for tactical fouls. They're the only two things that have been mentioned as a reason that the referee can do these things. But there's a couple of questions about it. So the first thing that a lot of people have asked is, what happens to the player who's in the sin bin? If they come on and just have to sit in a sin bin, that's 10 minutes that they're not warmed up. That's 10 minutes that they're going cold after being up to match speed. Surely, at the very least, they'll have to have exercise bikes or something on the sidelines, because you can't expect a player to go off the pitch for 10 minutes and come straight back onto the pitch. That will just lead to more injuries. So that's one thing. The second thing, and you might call me cynical, but football managers can be cynical at times. If I'm a coach and my centre-back gets sin bin for 10 minutes, I am going to tell every single one of my players to make the most out of every foul goes against them, roll around on the ground, take every second over throw-ins, corners, everything you can do to run down that clock while your teammate's on the sideline. You say to me the ref will add it on the end of the match. I don't care, because I'll have 11 players back at the end of the match. So you can add it on as much as you want when we have 11 players on the pitch. It seems nonsensical to me, but it got me thinking, is there another way this could be done? So let me try and talk you through what we do here in Ireland in GAA, the Gaelic Athletic Association. This is the system that's in place after a tried and tested black card was introduced. So let me bring it up on screen for you. So in the GAA over here in Ireland, a red card is the same as it is in football, a red card. A yellow card is the same as a yellow card. But a black card means that the player is sent off and the manager is allowed to substitute that player. So let's say Virgil van Dijk got a black card. Virgil van Dijk would have to be substituted by Jurgen Klopp and he can introduce another player. So in theory, you're weakening your team. Now, there is a thing to say, you'd have to make sure that it's one of your 5 substitutions. You couldn't give teams extra substitutions. So for me, that's a system that I think is far better than the blue card system, where the player just has to go and sit in the side of the pitch for 10 minutes, because it will be manipulated and teams will find a way to run that clock down. We know this, it's football. So in the Irish system here in the GAA, as I said, the black card was initially brought in as a 10-minute sin bin. But it was changed because everybody hated it. Because it was, crap, just like this blue one. So, yeah, that's what we do in Ireland in the GAA. So, I think that's a better fit, personally, than this blue card of going on the sideline for 10 minutes. And also, referees are still going to be able to unduly influence games, and none of us like that. We need to take the power to dictate who wins games and league titles out of referees' hands, not give them more power to do it. So I don't like it for a number of reasons. I think it's ridiculous. We did a poll earlier on in our live stream. We asked you guys what you thought, and 80% of the people said they didn't want the sin bin brought into football. And I'm actually surprised it was only 80%. What else have we got in here? Let me get through some more of your comments. Great to have you back. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you, mate. Really do. Love the tech changes. Thank you very much. Appreciate that as well. Thank you, Andy. Really appreciate that. What happens when a goalie gets a blue card? That I don't know the answer to. It is an interesting one, because do you have to put an outfield player in then? But I can't imagine, for a goalkeeper it would only be for dissent, right? I can't imagine a goalkeeper gets a tactical foul, because they're not far enough up the pitch to have a tactical foul. So it would only be really for dissent, I think, for a keeper. English Premier League refs are the worst. Giving them more authority is scary, said Stephen Landry. Yes, very scary. Very, very scary. So I don't agree with it. Anything that gives more power to the officials, I don't agree with. No sin bins need to have refs more accountable, said Appleman957. Very much agree with you, my mate. Kerry said, imagine if City's whole team surrounded the ref as normal, they all get sin bin at once. Yeah, I like to think of that more, though, as the Bruno Fernandes rule, Kerry, because he's a gobby little twat. And, yeah, And look, we know only too well that Tierney will be tripping over himself to get a blue card out for any Liverpool player. He'll be sitting at home practicing in front of the mirror about how he's going to tell Andy Robertson to get off the pitch. So there's a lot about this that we don't like. But it's only going to be at the trial phase. So there's still lots to work out before a decision is made about whether this will be implemented into the game fully or not. I hope it isn't, because I think it's ludicrous and it's doing something that isn't football, in my opinion. Xabi done deal. Well, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, there's been reports that Bayer Leverkusen have made contact with Julian Lopetegui and are trying to convince him to take over next season. And if they're doing that, they're clearly doing it because they believe Xabi Alonso is about to leave. And if we can get on board about Xabi Alonso being about to leave, he's coming to Liverpool, right? Surely. Why does he hate Liverpool? I don't know if he hates Liverpool or hates Klopp. That's the thing I can't figure out. Yeah, that's the thing I can't figure out. You know, he's definitely had run-ins with Jurgen Klopp, but I don't know if... Because let's be frank, he refereed the game against Chelsea very well when we beat them 4-1. I thought Paul Tierney had a really good game then. And it's a bit ironic that game came a few days after Klopp announced he was going to leave. So, I don't know, my man. I don't know. Let me go through some more stuff here. Oh, here's something that you guys will love. I mentioned this again earlier on. Liverpool are officially the worst affected by VAR errors. Among the 20 Premier League teams, Liverpool have been most affected with 4 errors going against them, according to ESPN. Wolves and Brighton follow on with 3 each, and even the Premier League's chief of football has admitted that Liverpool have been the worst affected with VAR decisions this season. Kind of flies in the face a little bit of all the idiots that like to say Liverpool, right? Because we've seen how many times we've been shafted. We've known about it, but now it's good to know that we're not imagining things. We have been shafted. So, feels like sometimes we have to overcome more than just opposition teams to win anything. Especially the Premier League title. Everybody's ready to just give Manchester City their coronation already. I'm not. I hope Klopp and the players aren't. I'm sure they're not. And I hope you guys aren't as well, because a lot of football to be played this season, and Manchester City have no divine right to win anything. They have to earn it the same as us. So, let's continue believing. Oh, I'm not going to sing Journey. I'm not going to sing it, even though in my head the song's going on. Chelsea fans acting like it's the ref's fault that they're down in 10th. Yeah, it's all the ref's fault. That was brilliant when Pochettino came out and said, I don't see anybody talking about Liverpool after they were beaten by Arsenal. I don't see any criticisms in the media over that. Poch, hi Craig, Anfield Agenda. We're top of the league, you moron. So can you stop with your drivel, pal? It's hard to be critical of a team who's top of the league and still in every goddamn competition we entered this season. I mean, that was clutching at straws, very much so, from Mauricio Pochettino. Craig, what happened to Thiago? A muscle injury, that's all I know. The first I'd seen of it was when Paul Joyce posted about it and Connor sent it on to me. That's all I know, my man, unfortunately, yeah. It's incredibly disappointing for everybody. The club, Thiago, his teammates, the coaches. It's not great. Mark, thank you for gifting a membership. You are very, very kind indeed. Right, Liz, how are you, Liz? Lovely to see you, and I hope you are well, and I hope that you're ready for the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. As you can see, we've also got gifted membership icons on the screen as well, so when Mark gifted that membership, boom, there we go, new gifted icon membership. What else we got? Liz, said, miss you all, hopefully I get back soon, love you all, WFM. Much love to you and the family as well, Liz, and thank you so much for your kind super chat and for your friendship, for everybody in the chat as well. It's been great to have you on board with us over the last few years. Hey Craig, glad to see you're feeling better. Can't wait for the Boston show. We're getting closer every day. We push on the season isn't over yet. You won't believe this, Davino. The Anfield Rap are playing Boston the day before us. The Anfield Rap are very big in America. I know that. They're a great establishment. This is not me saying that negative of the Anfield. I think the Anfield Rap are brilliant. But just my luck, The day we chose to go to Boston, Anfield Rap are coming the day before, and they're going to the Boston Supporters Club pub to do their show. We're doing ours in a different venue, so interesting. I guess the only thing I can say is we have a Friday night. That's it. But yeah, I can't wait, mate. It's going to be lots of fun. Counting down the days till we're over in Boston. And again, if anybody is in that neck of the woods and you want to come and see us, you can find the tickets on Ticketmaster, priced at $25, and we'd love to see you there. Do you know if he'll be out for long? Thiago? Owen, I think, could have kicked his last ball for us. That's what some people are starting to say. Until we hear from the club, I don't know officially if Thiago's out for the remainder of the season. Kerry said UK shows, just discussed them today actually, Kerry. What we're going to do for the UK shows, because we think this is probably the fairest way to do it, we're going to send a questionnaire into the community tab of the YouTube channel in the next week or two. And we're going to ask you guys to fill out a few bits of information, just letting us know what part of the UK you're watching from, so we can see where most of you are located, and then try and obviously pick cities where it'd be best suited for the people who watch. So that's what we're going to try and do, and we're going to start that research in the next week or two. Right, Craig. The good thing about bringing in a new manager is that they don't need to do what Klopp did, like they don't need to rebuild. 100% poke cards. I said this before. It's a very rare opportunity for somebody to walk into a football club with a good squad, a team and a club in a good position, and not have to fix anything. You can come in, you can assess the squad, you can put your own stamp on it. But yeah, it's rare, because normally if a manager's leaving, they're fired. So something's gone wrong somewhere. Players have stopped playing for them. The tactics haven't worked. Fallout with the owner, whatever. But in this situation, somebody gets to walk into a team full of really good players. So yeah, it's a dream opportunity for the right person. And I certainly hope that right person is Xabi Alonso. So Thiago's been given 12 million in wages this year. 12 million euro. I think he's on about 200 grand a week, I think. It is what it is, you know. Think of it this way. I like to think of it that when his contract's up in the summer, it frees up money to be able to be spent on wages for new recruits. So I like to try and spin it into somewhat of a positive when I can. Who do you think will get the Ireland job? Oh, I got the Ireland job. Did I not mention that? Sorry, no, I'm the new Republic of Ireland manager. Yeah. Oh, you thought that was a joke? No, I don't know, mate. No idea. Neil Lennon, Roy Keane, don't know who'll get it. And on that, actually, so Thiago's been given 12 million wages this year. Thank you for that super chat. I want to bring this up because the Nations League draw has been done. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but this is an interesting group. Let me show you. Group B2, England, Finland, Republic of Ireland, and Greece. What do we think of that draw, ladies and gentlemen? England and Ireland. It's been a while. It's been a minute. I'm intrigued. Let us know what you guys think of that. Obviously, a lot of you guys from England. Got the Costas factor as well for Greece. But yes, that is the Nations League draw. England, Finland, Republic of Ireland, and Greece. Be honest. You scared, yeah? Come on, English fans. You scared? Huh? Evan Ferguson going to be taken over. Are you going to do watch along with Adam for the Ireland-England game? Oh, I would imagine so. Yeah. That sounds sensible. Coy Big going to batter England. Yeah, we are. Going to home and away. Going to go to Wembley, trounce them over there 4-0. Bring them back over here to the Aviva. Probably a 5-0 over here. Trying to keep a straight face saying that was tough. I'm supporting Ireland over England because of Craig, said Arian. Makes sense. Well played. I love that. Because of Craig. There you go. Is that because I've taken over the Irish national team job, or? Right, more stuff. FA Youth Cup. A little bit of an update for you there. So Liverpool are going to travel to take on Leeds United in the FA Youth Cup quarter-finals. So that is going to take place Saturday, March 9th. So if anybody's interested in the younger Reds, then there you go. Liverpool, Leeds United, quarter-final of the FA Youth Cup, and March 9th is the date that seems to be penciled in for that fixture. Super chat from Gary Weiss. Thank you, Gary. He said, Bernardo Silva will be the whole match in the sin bin. Yeah, but imagine having to sit there listening to him if you're in the sin bin. If you're an official, having to stand there listening to him moaning. Yeah. Mark as well, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your super chat. Mark said Ben and Connor did a fantastic job for the Arsenal game. Yeah, I was so happy for them. For those of you who didn't see, we did a kind of members only tech trial for the Arsenal game where Connor and Ben just ran through the tech behind a members only stream just to make sure everything was working before we were back and ready to go for the Burnley game this weekend. Now, just a reminder, the Burnley game's 3 p.m. on Saturday. Isn't going to be shown on TV in the UK, but we got you covered, of course, here on Anfield Agenda. We'll be starting from 2 p.m, taking you right the way through all the usual stuff on the match day. Stanislas, how are we, sir? So, Craig, I hope this Mbappe comes home, Real Madrid fan. It's looking very, very likely, mate, at this point. Seems to be inching towards. I think the only sticking point is the salary, from what I've been reading in the media anyway. Yeah. So I would imagine, look, we've always said most likely destination for Mbappe is Real Madrid. I also have a bit of a theory on this, on the whole Real Madrid squad build. So hear me out. I have a tinfoil hat on for this. I'll admit to that. But let's say Real Madrid bring in Kylian Mbappe, and they have Jude Bellingham, and they have Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Vinicius Jr., Endrick, Rodrigo, probably Alphonso Davies when the summer comes along. It will make it a lot harder for UEFA to potentially punish Real Madrid if they push towards the Super League, if they have so many superstar players with really big standing in world football. That's part of my little theory in my head as to one of the reasons I think they're maybe pushing to try and get all this through. And that's before they even talk about the interest that they apparently have in Erling Haaland as well. YouTube finally allowed me to create a channel so I can comment. Nice one, Chris. Glad to have you in. If I was manager, who would I sign? I'd bring in a left back, a backup left back. I'd need to know what happens with Mo before we talk about the front line, and a centre back. I'd probably bring in a 25 to 27-year-old centre back. Don't know who, but they're the positions I think we could do with getting in, because I don't see Joel Matip's contract being renewed either. Watching from Brooklyn, New York City, said Kaiser Soze. How are we? That's kind of close to Boston. I mean, it's not really close. It's like 9 hours or something maybe, or maybe a bit less than that. But 22nd of March. If Bradley's available, would you start him? Yes, I would. I said that, I think, in the preview that I recorded earlier on. If Conor Bradley was available, I would play Conor Bradley at right back. Yes, I would. I don't know if I'm alone in that, and I'm not trying to say it in any way to be negative about Trent, but I think Conor Bradley at right back is more balanced for us, and if Klopp wants to put Trent in midfield, put Trent in midfield, but yes, I would. Interestingly, the Echo think that there is a chance that Mohamed Salah could be in the squad for the game on Saturday. I don't know if there's any chance of that, but they said it's possible. 4 hours to Boston. There you go. 4 hours. That's nothing. It's only 6 hours for me from Dublin. Does Trent need to hold a bench for a while? No, I know. I'm not trying to say that. Like, this isn't about me knocking Trent. It's more about me thinking just positively on Conor Bradley. I think Conor Bradley just gives us a better balance at right back, you know, because he doesn't have to play that hybrid role that Trent plays. You know, Arsenal have been very good. Arsenal and Fulham probably the two teams that I've always thought have been the best at exploiting that space that had been left by Trent when he had that hybrid role. It's worked for us in many games, by the way. Trent's played really well at times in that hybrid role, but there have been occasions where it's bit us in the ass, and certainly Arsenal and Fulham, as I mentioned, are two teams that stick out to me as being able to get at us. Oh, deep breath. Right. So Julian Nagelsmann, Florian Plettenberg posted saying, have asked Julian Nagelsmann in Paris, will you still be the German head coach at the start of the Nations League in September? He said, I haven't thought about it yet since my contract ends after the Euro. I would say, as it stands now, no. I've said since the beginning of my tenure, the Euros is currently the focus. Then we'll see if I'm going to be still the coach. If so, I'll prepare very well and try to get the most out of it. So it feels like it's been set up there for Kloppo to take the Germany job. And I'd be absolutely fine about that, because I could understand Klopp taking a few months break and then go take the Germany job. I'd be fine about that because it's his home country. But the fuck would I be okay if Barcelona think they can just swan in and take him? Now, on that, the Echo did have a little piece that I want to read out to you. It said, Barcelona will need Liverpool's permission for Jurgen Klopp approach. Barcelona will reportedly need to ask permission of Liverpool if they're to appoint Jurgen Klopp as Xavi's successor at Barcelona. According to Sport, who are a Spanish and very Barcelona-leaning publication, said the La Liga giants face a great challenge if they're to persuade the German coach to backtrack on plans of a year-long sabbatical in favour of a move to the new camp. The report, Klopp considers himself a man of his word, and it's certain that he will not train next season unless Liverpool also agree. So, damn right they should have to pay compensation if he took the Barcelona job, because otherwise we've just allowed the manager to just break his contract. You know, I know we all love Jurgen Klopp and all that, but at the end of the day, he's still an asset to the club. And if he's contracted till 2026, or even if it's 2025 with that year-long addition, so what? Pony up. We'll have to pay compensation for Alonso. So, damn right. I've always said that to you guys. When this story came out, there was no way I was thinking Liverpool are just going to go, oh, okay then, you just run off to Barcelona. Thank you for the super chat, Susie. And as you can see, different colours for different tenures of super chats, different vibrancies as well. We've thought long and hard about this. Susie said, really, we've only lost one game. I don't count the Spurs game as a loss. Therefore, I was only a little upset about the Arsenal match. We can't be brilliant all the time. Yeah, look, it was... I think I agree with pretty much everything you said there, Susie. The Arsenal match in itself, as a single thing, was a disappointment. Absolutely. We just weren't at the races. They were better in every department. They deserved a win and we just weren't ourselves. But context is important, as you said there. One real loss this season and still top of the league, albeit if City win the game in hand, they'll go ahead to us by a point. But still 1 point. And we're what? In February. I would have taken that at the start of the season. And I'll take it now. Especially when we've got Manchester City still to come to Anfield. So, yeah, I'd take it. Imagine an ice hockey rule in the Premier League. Verge versus Bernardo. Oh, you mean like Diggs flying? That would be... Yeah, I was trying to think, who would you have if you were to have your goon on a football pitch? Like, who would be your resident thug in the Liverpool team to go around kicking lumps out of people? Do you think Xabi would choose us over Madrid? 100%, Daniel. Yes, 100%. We're where his real heartstrings are. We are. Bastian Schweinsteiger said pretty much that earlier on. He said he knows Liverpool's the club of Alonso's heart and that he expects him to be the Liverpool manager in the summer. That's a former teammate of his. His kids were born, I don't know about all his kids, but certainly his family was started here in Liverpool. Here, I'm not in Liverpool, but in Liverpool. So yes, I do firmly believe that he would take the Liverpool job over any other job in world football. And also, Real Madrid have a manager who's in the position contracted till 2026. Right, we have 326 likes, but 1,553 people in the chat, my friend. So if you can, please do hit that like button for us. Robbo Thug Life, yeah, that was my initial thought, JC, my man. That was definitely my initial thought. Andy Robertson out there just being a pain in people's backsides. I love Robbo. Like, he's my spirit animal out there on the football pitch. If that's still allowed to be said, I don't know what I'm allowed to say anymore in the world. But yeah, Robbo's my representative out there. Like, as in the fan for me. The fan's representative out there on the pitch. I love him. Love him to bits. He'd be if I could have one interview with a Liverpool player currently at the team, it would be Andy Robertson. Schweinsteiger as assistant. I don't know, Andy. I mean, somebody said earlier on, would you take Thiago as an assistant? And I would, I think Thiago would be a great coach. Imagine having Thiago working with Bajcetic, with Watoro, with Alexis, even maybe Tyler Morton if he comes back. And Tyler Morton's doing very well, by the way. I believe he won an award, didn't he? Where's this? Yeah. Tyler Morton places third amongst the under-21s in European leagues when it comes to ranking the most press-resistant midfielders. Morton registers 86.9% ball retention under pressure and only sits below Zaire Emery and Gavi. So, granted, he is playing at a slightly lower level than those well, maybe not Zaire Emery. I mean, to be fair, the French league's not all that. But certainly Gavi and playing in the Spanish league, that'll be definitely a higher level than the Championship. So lots of people coming in asking about the done deal part, and the only answer I can give you now, because I'm not going to lie, I've heard things, but not things that I feel comfortable saying, because it's just talk, I'm not saying the journalist told me anything, but we've all heard things, right? You would have heard things, I've heard things, Mr. Schwackoff's heard things, but what I can say is there's been some credible reports that Bayer Leverkusen have tried to sound out Julian Lopetegui about taking over in the summer. So, as I said earlier on, if we can all accept that they're looking for a new manager, then we have to ask why. And it'll be because Alonso's going to leave. And if he is going to leave, we also know why. So, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. I think we will see him at Liverpool. I don't know when we might expect a possible announcement, because if I remember correctly, the priority list for the club seemed to be get the sporting director in first. I don't know if that's still the plan or not, but we'll have to wait and see. Mahmood, thank you, mate. You're a member with us for 3 months. Appreciate you. Said, thoughts on Gravenberch and Gakpo's form? You want the blunt answer? Neither are good enough. Now, I'm not saying they're not good enough players. The form hasn't been good enough. Especially for Gravenberch, I have a lot more patience, because he hadn't got a full pre-season, really. He hadn't played a lot of football over the last year or two. He's still only 21 years of age. So I have patience. Cody Gakpo, I don't have any issues with, really. He's never going to be prolific, I don't think. But I don't see a time where I see him in any of the front threes. He can come off the bench or he can rotate in, but I can't see a time where he'll be in our best front three. So that's my honest take on them. They both need to pull their socks up a little bit. Craig, as a fellow Scot, Robbo is the man. He loves a wind-up. I know, and that's why I love him. I love him for that reason. He's an absolute pain in the backside and wind-up merchant, and I love it. Kerry, thank you for taking out a membership, my friend. Welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. Appreciate your support. Did you see PSG will replace Mbappe with Leao? Is this true? There's certainly been reports that they're going to make a play for Rafael Leao. Yes, I've seen those reports. Obviously, I don't have any information on what PSG do. I don't know anybody in and around that club. But, yes, I can see it being a possibility. I can see it being the wrong move for Rafael Leao, but I can see it being a possibility because we know they have the money. Leverkusen play at home versus Bayern on Saturday. Nice. What time is that at? Is it a 5:30 kickoff or 2:30 kickoff? Because obviously we're on at 3. Darkness said, I agree, the form has been terrible like a ghost. Maybe Bayern were right about Ryan. So, I get that some people are going to go to that point. And, you remember I had my own concerns when we signed Ryan Gravenberch. I didn't know if it was the right move or not. I said it openly at the time. But when he came in fairness to him, I thought he played very well at the start. Now we're starting to see him kind of ghost in some games, and he was pretty bang average against Arsenal. Look, he wasn't the only one. I think maybe Alexis McAllister was the only midfielder, or the only player probably, that I thought could hold his head high after the Arsenal game. I thought he was our best player. But I have patience for Gravenberch because he's only 21. And football is littered with... Look at Curtis Jones. He's now 23 and has only started to come into his proper Liverpool form or show his best side. So I'm going to give Ryan Gravenberch time. He deserves that. New members will pop up on screen now as well. Thank you for that, guys. Lads are working very hard in the background. So this coming in from Transfer Sector said Liverpool are interested in Real Sociedad midfield star Martin Zubamendi, who has a release clause of €60 million. I do like Zubamendi. I know a lot of you guys like Zubamendi as well. So maybe you want to keep an eye on. But as I've said many times on this stream, it's hard to know what to think about transfers at the minute because we don't know who's going to be pulling the trigger on the deals. We don't know who's going to be negotiating them. On behalf of who. Because you're not going to start signing players before a new manager comes in unless you've had a chat with the new manager and, you know, they've given the nod. Or, actually, do you know what? It's not even that straightforward because Klopp earned the right to have a big input. So I don't know if the new model's going to be, let's say, Alonso to come in as a coach, and that's what you're doing. You're just the coach. The signings will be made by a sporting director and a set of data analysts at the club. I don't know. I don't know how much faith and how much responsibility a new manager is going to have. Certainly, I would imagine it'll be a bit less than Jurgen Klopp, who over the 9 years certainly earned the right to have as much say as he had at the club. Sorry about the deep breaths that I have to keep taking, but I'm still trying to fight through the last bit of fatigue and stuff, but certainly feeling a million times better today than I was yesterday. What have we got? Gakpo should start at the low. Do you mean on the left? I think you meant to say on the left. He only played 3 matches on the left for Liverpool, and that's his favourite position. Yeah, I get you. I personally think it's hard to know because we've got a lot of players who can play well on the left side. You can play... Obviously, we've got Lucho, who's on the left side. You can play Darwin on the left side. And you can play Gakpo on the left side. So we're all kind of spoiled on that side, but a little bit light on the other side if we haven't got Mohamed Salah. Who would I sign if Mo was to leave? Thank you, little gamer. Who would I sign? Depends how he left. I'm assuming I get a transfer fee here. So let's say Al Ittihad come in and pay 100 million with 50 million in add-ons or something. Who would I sign? Well, the club have very strong links to Bakayoko, from what I've read. I don't know much about the PSV Eindhoven player. I've said this openly, but they expect him to leave in the summer. £35 million has been mentioned. Florian Wirtz would be another one that it depends on it depends what the next manager wants to do, because do you bring in another wide player or do you push somebody else out into a wide position, let's say, and buy somebody for the centre or something? I don't know. So it's hard to gauge who would come in or who I would bring in. I don't like the idea of Rafa Leao. Don't like the idea of Kvaratskhelia anymore. Federico Chiesa is a possibility, I guess. But, I'm certainly not thinking that we bring in a player who's going to replace Mo, because nobody is going to replace Mo. We're going to have to bring in somebody who's going to be part of a team that's going to score goals, a forward group that's going to score goals. So it's a tough question because it's also one that we don't want to answer, right? Because we don't want to really think about Mo leaving. But I think we can safely say Mbappe's off the table. I think now I can safely say that. I'm just trying to think. Kubo would be one that I think would excite a lot of people as well. If I'm right, Takefusa Kubo has a 60 million buyout clause. I know Real Madrid have options on that, 50% sell-on clause and the first refusal, I think. I'm sure there are young wingers that I just don't know about that the data analysts are looking at. So I don't expect it to be a superstar signing, put it that way. That's kind of never really been the way Liverpool go about things, as much as we may have disagreed with that. Dybala thoughts. I don't know if Dybala would suit the Premier League. There's a player in there. Of course there is. Dybala, there is a player in there. I don't know. Will he ever leave La Liga, or excuse me, Serie A. I know he's moved to Roma, and I mean, I remember the welcome he got when he signed for Roma. Oh my God, it was something to see. That welcome to Rome really was from the Roma fans. They really looked after him well when he arrived there. Griezmann, he's cooking at the minute. Yeah, he's also a twat. And I lost any respect for Antoine Griezmann after he did that whole video thing when he was at Atleti. Am I leaving or am I going? Am I staying? Am I leaving? Watch this documentary. Watch the documentary for the news. Then he said he was staying and then he left. And then he went back. So I don't really give a shite about Antoine Griezmann, to be honest with you. What age is he now? He must be in his late 20s at this point, Griezmann. Yeah, so that'd be a no for me on Griezmann. Elise, I think we have to start worrying about Elise's injury record at this point. You know, he's out now again, injured. And I know he's still a young player and it could be a short-term thing, but it certainly has to be a consideration when you're thinking about Michael Elise. But it looks like Manchester City could make a play for Elise based off the reports I've read in the last couple of weeks. And obviously Chelsea were in previously for him as well. Craig, the shape will be different next year, so the likes of Diaz will be under pressure. Dom will be taking his place under new tactics. Yeah, so I did mention this earlier on, but I watched the Stuttgart Leverkusen game back yesterday. I sat here and watched it, and it was very interesting to see how regimented it was when the Leverkusen keeper got the ball at his feet. Everybody immediately moved like you were moving chess pieces into their set positions for the formation of how Alonso wanted the team to play out. It was interesting to watch. He'll be 33 this year. Then absolutely not. No 33-year-olds, thank you very much. Whitehammer, by the way, mate, much appreciated for the super chat as well. You're very kind, sir. Thank you. So, me and Connor had a little chat earlier on, and I said to him, do you know what, mate? I think I'm over the Klopp leaving thing. And he said to me, I think I'm over the Klopp leaving thing as well, if it's Alonso. And then I said, yeah, that's probably what I meant as well. And I want to know how you guys feel about it. Because obviously we've had a little bit of time now to digest the news that Jurgen Klopp's leaving at the end of the season. And of course we're all disappointed and shocked and all the other emotions you probably went through. And of course we all want a great end to the season and Jurgen to go out with as many trophies as we can get. But I'm starting to get a little bit excited as well about the future and a change. You know, I didn't want to change, don't get me wrong. I wanted Jurgen Klopp to stay as Liverpool manager as long as Jurgen Klopp wanted to stay as Liverpool manager. But yeah, I'm a little bit excited now about what the future might hold and what we may look like next season or the season after that going forward. Brian John Luke Duffy, thank you, mate. Said, hi Craig, keep up the great work with all our strikers. Who'd be top scorer this season? I hope Salah's top scorer. He's still top of the scoring charts now. I think he's tied with Haaland. Is he at 14 or something? So, I think Richarlison must be sneaking up there a little bit as well, is he? I hope Mo wins it. I don't really care about individual accolades, but I'd rather one of our boys won it than somebody else. So, yeah, hopefully Mo. Arian said, Craig, do you think Klopp will return as manager one day? No, I don't, unfortunately. Yeah, because I don't see Klopp as being somebody who's going to manage into his 70s or anything like that. No, I think, you know, he'll want to spend some years in his retirement with his wife, enjoying his life, you know, looking back over all his successes and celebrating what's been an amazing career in football. Team Shark Meg said, hi Craig, I'm late here today. Is there any news on the sporting director? I've heard Richard Hughes from Bournemouth, who is supposedly very good friends with Michael Edwards. His name has been mentioned. The guy from West Ham had been mentioned. He was the guy who brought Xabi Alonso into Leverkusen. But truth is, mate, I don't know. I've not seen many things written about the sporting director search, if I'm being blunt. I wish I had more information on it, but no, I don't. What else we got here? Done that one already. I've so many notes today. I'm just trying to make sure I don't forget them. For those of you who didn't see this earlier on, Bastian Schweinsteiger, former teammate of Xabi Alonso, said, "I know Xabi, and I think his big dream is to coach Liverpool, and I can imagine it will be this summer when he leaves." So it's all coming up Millhouse there. Okay, just checking other notes to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Yes, there was something I wanted to say. Darwin Núñez has had the most shots in the Premier League, 73. So Darwin leads the Premier League for shots. I'd rather he was leading them for goals, but he does top the statistics for most shots in the Premier League. Second on the list is Dominic Solanke of Bournemouth with 68. Joined actually with Ollie Watkins of Aston Villa. Next comes Mohamed Salah with 65. Now, if you take into account that Mohamed Salah has been away for over a month or so now, he would probably be up the top of that list if he had been around, if he hadn't have had to go to the AFCON. And then Erling Haaland with 63 shots for Manchester City as well. So they're your top 5 in the Premier League for shots taken. Done that one already. Done that one. I said this earlier on today, and I think I might have said it at the start of the stream as well, but I'm aware people come in and out as the stream goes on, so I'm going to go back over it. Liverpool are now the worst affected team by VAR in the Premier League this season. Among 20 Premier League teams, Liverpool have been the most affected with 4 errors going against them, according to ESPN. Wolves and Brighton are next with 3 errors costing them probably points as well. So yeah, don't let anybody go Liverpool anymore, because truth is the truth. Liverpool have been the worst affected by VAR decisions this season. So it's good to just see these things clarified, you know, because we all have our own thought processes on them. We're all remember the ones we were shafted on, but you had this from ESPN, and then you had the Premier League's chief football officer saying it as well in their survey that they did. Liverpool have been the worst impacted team from VAR. So what do you do with that? Like, when people are still so anti-Liverpool that they just say Liverpool because they're idiots. And that's what they are. They're idiots. They hate us so much that they refuse to accept common sense. They refuse to accept the information that's right in front of their nose, just because they can't have us having anything good. They don't want us to be, because I'm going to be blunt for a second, right? I'm going to be blunt. And don't hate me, but this comes from a good place. You and I know that there are a lot of football fans out there that think that Liverpool always want to play the victim card in everything. In everything. We know that's horseshit. We know that the city, the football team, the people are all salt of the earth and are very much like myself. They'll speak their mind. If they feel they're being shafted, they're going to talk about it. And they should. Because, as we know, the city has been absolutely through a lot and shafted. So when you see people putting out these lazy tropes against us, but you've got evidence to show that we have a reason to be annoyed by VAR decisions, I hope some people start at least calming it down, because nobody wants to be complaining about being shafted. Didn't hear me say anything after the Arsenal game. Didn't mention one thing about the referee. Congratulated Arsenal on beating us. They were far the better team. They deserved the win. I'm not somebody that looks for a scapegoat when Liverpool lose. But if there has been a very, very blatant decision, well, of course we're going to talk about it. Because we've lost league titles by a point twice. So we know, probably more than anybody else currently in the Premier League, how close league titles can be, and fine margins. And that Spurs game could cost Liverpool the league title. And we're just supposed to sit back again and accept it. Of course we're going to be annoyed about it. Of course anybody with a rational brain would be annoyed about it. Hi Craig, from Australia. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you, Agent X. You're very kind, mate. I am, thank you. The blue card thing could also increase player injuries if they cool down and fire up after 10 minutes. Your thoughts? I mean, it's a very fair point, mate. I would imagine that they'll have spin bikes or something. Or they'll have to have something to keep the player ticking over. As you rightly said, you can't have a player, let's say, playing 60 minutes of a match at full pelt and then going to sit down on a bench for 10 minutes, cool down, come straight back on the pitch and pull a hamstring. That's ridiculous. But also, the other thing I've said is this. Football is a cynical game, and any coach worth their salt, and I would do this, if my player got a sin bin, let's say we're playing and Alexis McAllister gets sin binned. If I'm Jurgen Klopp, I'm telling every single one of our players, whenever there's a challenge that you go into that's 50-50, stay down. Milk it. Roll around. Stay down. Call on the medical team from the sidelines. Get your treatment. Because, yeah, the ref will add the time on at the end of the match, but you'll have 11 players back at that point, so you won't give a damn. It will be manipulated. So I don't think it's fit for purpose. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, over here in Ireland, we have this system. And this system came in after they tried a black card, which was a 10-minute sin bin. But it was hated so much that they ended up with this. If you get a black card in Gaelic Athletic Association or Gaelic football or hurling, that black card means that you are forced to make a substitution. Your manager is forced to take the player off and replace it with somebody else. Now, obviously, you're not going to get extra substitutions. You'd have to use one of your substitutions. But I think that's a far better system than the one that they're introducing with the blue card. As you can see, red card, player off and not replaced by a substitute. Black card, player sent off and replaced by a substitute. And then yellow plus yellow equals red, same as football. Yellow plus black equals red. So that's a system that I think makes infinitely more sense. But I still don't like the idea of another card. I still think it's farcical. And what we did earlier on was had a poll of you guys in the chat, and it was 80% of the people had no interest in a sin bin being brought into football. Craig, can multiple players get sent into the sin bin at once? Yes, I would imagine so. Now, remember, sin bins are only for two things. Dissent and tactical fouls. That's it. So it's not going to be like a foul as in a normal foul where two players go for a ball and you're late. That's not going to get you a sin bin. It's only, let's say, you're on a counter-attack and you're pulled back by the shoulder to stop the counter-attack where you would have been through on goal. That type of stuff. Or when they start giving a diss to the referee. But what if a few players are being dissentful to the referee? Because we often see 3-4 players surrounding a referee. Are they all getting it? If it's not going to solve the thing they want solving. And it's going to add on even longer to games. Because stoppage time is probably going to be a lot longer because people are going to be, every time there's a sin bin, you're going to be defending deep and you're going to be killing time. So it's probably going to add on more time wasting. It's just not going to have the impact they want. Craig, can you check the transfer centre? They're reporting a FIFA statement on blue cards. I've gone through all the FIFA statements on blue cards, mate. Done it like 4 times in this stream and 3 times earlier on. Yeah, it's getting trialled. I think it's going to be officially announced tomorrow, but it's getting trialled. Now, one really interesting thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is the new FFP that will probably be introduced to the Premier League. As we currently have it, we've got the profit and loss, or excuse me, the profit and sustainability rules, meaning that any Premier League club, no matter how much money they make, can only lose £105 million over a 3-year cycle. But as you know, if you play in the Champions League, the Europa League or the Europa Conference League, UEFA have their FFP system, which means clubs can only spend up to 70% of their overall income on players' wages and transfers and all that kind of stuff. And there's going to be a vote and a conversation in the Premier League about implementing that system into the Premier League. I don't know if it'll get passed for the reason that it's going to give the bigger clubs an advantage because they make more money. So 70% of the money they generate is more money than 70% of the bottom team in the Premier League who don't have as big a fan base or as big sponsorships or any of that type of stuff. To put that into context though, to the best of my understanding, Liverpool currently spend about 63% of turnover on player salaries and stuff like that. So we're in a healthy position. There are lots of clubs in the Premier League that are up in the 80s and even higher, I think. So it would benefit us, and it would benefit the way FSG do business if it is brought in. But any vote that goes to the Premier League has to be ratified by at least 14 clubs out of the 20. What else we got? In what competition will this blue card be implemented? So, Andre, the goal is to try it out in the FA Cup. That's what's been spoken about at the minute. That they'll be doing it in the FA Cup. Right, what's this statement? Hang on. Right, so transfer sector, as our friend asked me to check in a moment, and Mark very kindly sent to me, said FIFA wishes to clarify that reports of the so-called blue card at elite levels of football are incorrect and premature. Any such trials, if implemented, should be limited to testing in a responsible manner at lower levels. Then why have every sports station in Europe ran with this story if it's not going to be implemented? So here's what I think. You know me, I'm going to give you the blunt truth, or my blunt truth. I think that FIFA have seen that there's no appetite for this and it's been laughed at by journalists and fans already because it's stupid, and that they've tried to save face here by pretending that we're all big tickos and that they never were going to do it. I think they're just backtracking because they know the public are going to just knock it because it's such a stupid idea. That's my take on what that statement is. What's the latest on Alonso? Well, the latest, Adam, the only thing I can say to you is Leverkusen have sounded out or are trying to get Julian Lopetegui, according to reports, to become their next manager. They haven't had a breakthrough yet, but if they're doing that, then as I mentioned earlier on, they're clearly doing that because they expect Alonso to be leaving. And if they expect Alonso to be leaving, where's he going? We know where he's going. Coming home. IFAB is not UEFA. Didn't say it was, but the statement came from FIFA. So I'm reading a statement that came from FIFA, smart arse. Never said IFAB was. Sorry, if you're going to pull me up on something, you know, I'm happy to say I'm wrong when I'm wrong. But I read a statement that was from FIFA. AFL in Australia, they have a match review panel which review bad tackles after the match and the player gets fined or recommended tribunal. See, do you know what I don't like about that though, Andrew? That doesn't help the team that's been shafted. So when you see teams who, let's say, retrospectively get a ban for a player, that doesn't help out the team that's got shafted or had their player injured. It helps out the next team they're playing. So that's, I guess it's better than nothing, don't get me wrong. But I like to see these things punish the players who, you know, happen then and there. And with VAR in games now, there should be no need for things to be missed. Still a different organisation, my friend. Do you need me to, like, write this on chalk for you or something? Like, I'm assuming that, you know, it's gone straight over your fucking noggin. Did I, in any way, shape or form, my little pedigree chum, say to you that IFAB and UEFA are the same thing? Have I ever fucking once said they are? Like, give me some credit. I know my football. I know who the fuck IFAB are. I've explained who IFAB are many times. Just because your ears are a little bit clogged or you're too thick to understand what I'm saying, don't cry panty wobblers at me, mate. Just shut the fuck up and let me do my job. Fucking hell. What's your favourite colour crayon to eat? Just answer that for me. Fucking hell. Don't have a pop at me. You're not smart enough. I keep telling you. Oh. People won't learn. You said FIFA are backtracking, they're not. FIFA just put out the fucking statement. Do I have to read it again? FIFA put out the fucking statement to say that reports are incorrect. IFAB didn't put out the fucking statement, so that's why I said FIFA, because FIFA put out the fucking statement. Are we done now? Fucking hell. If my child wouldn't answer to me like that, mate. Jesus Christ, get over yourself. Say we were playing Everton and Everton get a player sent off. The next team gets that advantage. Exactly. That's the point. Like, I don't see that how that benefits anybody. This dude is stubborn, won't accept facts. Yeah, you've no balls. That's a fact. You're welcome. I'm not stubborn, I'm just right. Let me read out the statement again for the back of the bus merchants. I'll read it out for you again one more time. Would you like me to do it very slowly? Hang on a second. FIFA wishes to clarify that reports of the so-called blue card at elite levels of football are incorrect and premature. Any such trials, if implemented, should be limited to testing in a responsible manner at lower levels. No IFAB mentioned. You're welcome. So the criteria of the blue card is referee protection. I don't know if it's referee for protection, but it certainly gives more power to the referees. And at a time where I think football has already given too much power to referees and too much subjectivity decision making for referees, I don't want any more power going in their hands. For me, and look, I'm not against rule changes in football. There have been some great ones over the years. We've seen the goal line technology. I think it's the greatest revolution in football in the last, I don't know how long. It's brilliant. But if I was in charge of football tomorrow, I'd get rid of VAR. I'd have semi-automated offside technology. I'd have goal line technology, and I'd crease it right across the full length of the back of the pitch. And that's pretty much it. I think figure out the handball rule. That'd be nice. IFAB, the football lawmakers, should concentrate on sorting out the handball rule. Because every league has different interpretations of what a handball is for a penalty and what isn't. And there's no consistency across the game. And that, if I'm IFAB, that's the priority. You need to sort out other stuff before rolling on to try to add in new things. Get what you have done right. Maybe look at rewriting some of the rules to allow for the new technology, because it looks like VAR is going to be around. I don't think we're going to see the end of VAR. So the lawmakers are going to have to rewrite some of the rules to allow for the new technology to bring it up to modern day speed. Now, let me just go back to a couple of things that were pointed out by... Where is it gone? Sorry, bear with me 2 seconds. Just scrolling back through my notes. Here we go. So, Premier League Chief Football Officer Tony Scholes on VAR. He said there's too many checks and they're taking too long. I think we agree with that, right? I think most sensible football fans would agree with what Tony Scholes said there. There are too many checks and they are taking too long, and it's pissing everybody off. Next, he said the fan experience inside the stadiums is nowhere near good enough. Again, spot on. Any fans that are at the games will tell you half the time they haven't got a clue. Yeah, they'll get the basic announcement of check being made, but they don't have any communication between the referee and the VAR room. And that's because IFAB, the football lawmakers, won't allow the Premier League to broadcast the audio of the conversations between the referees and the VAR officials. They won't allow them to do it inside the stadium. That's actually not on the Premier League or the PGMOL or anybody else. That's on IFAB, the football lawmakers. They say VAR errors are down. They reckon that I think 96% of VAR decisions are correct. And finally, Liverpool suffer the most, and Aston Villa are the biggest winners from VAR decisions this season. They also say that they have doubts over semi-automated offsides. Now that's the part I want answers to. Why? Why is there doubts over semi-automated offsides? Why? Because for me, I'll have that every day of the week over the Crayola experts trying to draw their dodgy lines, taking too long to do it, trying to figure out which arm is which. Let the technology do it. The technology, which is unbiased and won't be influenced, let that make the decision. I think it worked great in the Champions League. I think it's worked great in international tournaments, and I think it should be the future of offsides. It's quicker, it's clear, we get a clear picture generated by the technology, it works. So that should happen, for me. I watch your streams every day, however, sometimes your attitude towards your viewers is simply rude. Treat your viewers better even if they're wrong. No, I won't. Because they do it to bait me. They don't do it to try and explain something. They do it to try and bait me. I can understand and spot a sincere comment and an asshole. Now you, my friend, I appreciate where you're coming from. I thank you for your super chat and I appreciate you watching the streams. But I don't put up with bullshit from people who are just here to bait me. I'm here to have fun, to interact with football fans who support the football club that we all love and chat about it. But I'm not going to put up with shit from anybody. So that's who I am, that's how I am, and I'm not going to change. Sorry, that's me. Lots of other people don't even interact with their chat, so they don't have to deal with debating because they just don't give a shit about what their chat says. I genuinely care about what my chat says. But I've been doing this 6 years now, and I'm able to spot when someone's on a wind-up or not. And I don't have time for people's stupidity. That's me, mate. I'm sorry if that doesn't appeal to you. But if you want to see somebody who's rude to their viewers, watch Goldbridge. Then you'll see somebody who's rude to their viewers. Watch me and you'll see somebody who interacts, has fun, says kind things, and is respectful to people that show that same respect to me. That's the best way I can explain it, my man. And if you don't like it, you don't have to watch. I don't mean that in a rude way. I get it. If you think I'm too brash or aggressive, that's no problem. There's plenty of other content out there. But I'm not going to change, man, because that's who I am. You can't have the Craig that's up here celebrating, wooing Ric Flair and then not have the Craig that's over this side. It's part of my makeup. It's part of my personality. It's part of who I am. I don't do things in half measures, good or bad. That's just the ABCs of me. I feel like you sometimes misjudge the tone of some comments. So this is one of the rare times I'm going to say this. That's because of my Asperger's. I don't use it as an excuse. I'm only pointing it out now because you say it to me. I am aware of that. So if I could suggest something which has helped me a lot in my life, if you're putting in a comment that you think I might misinterpret, because written stuff I do misinterpret. Absolutely. Happens to me in everyday life with my friends and family. Yeah, it does happen. Emojis have been a lifesaver for me because I can tell the tone then, if you get me. So if you put in a winky face emoji or, things like that, that's been a lifesaver for me in life, honestly. So you're right. Hands up. I do at times maybe misinterpret the tone of things. Yes, that's a fair shout. Thoughts on Galatasaray manager as the new manager? Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know who the Galatasaray manager is. Sorry. I've got no idea who the Galatasaray manager is. Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just not that clever. I don't know who he is. I don't watch Turkish football. Andy said, Craig admits if there's been a misunderstanding and has apologised, we're all human. Look, if I feel I've wronged somebody, you've seen many examples of me apologising, but there's also a lot of assholes that come in just to wind you up. You know, and why should I, you, or anybody else have to put up with those people when there's good, sincere, honest people in the chat who are trying to have a comment read out or who want to interact or contribute to the conversation? So, you know, it works both ways. Stop being an asshole and I won't have to be an asshole back. Come in and show me the respect and the others the respect and you get that back. It's all good. Been this way since day one, not changing. Stephen Webb, thank you, my friend, for your super chat. You didn't put a comment in, bud, but appreciate you. Can we get back to football? So, again, you're giving out to me for reading the chat that's moaning at me and I'm trying to explain it. See how I can't win here? You know, I can only read. I don't, like, there's no magic formula to what I read. I look down and whatever catches my eye level is the comment I read out. I don't proofread it before I talk. I just read whatever comment I see first. And if that's happens to be somebody feeling I've said something wrong, then I read it. If it's someone who says something about the manager, I'll read that. There are better ways to prove a point. If they bait you, then you don't go down to their level. You just feed them. That's my point. See, again, I appreciate where you're coming from, but my point is it's cathartic sometimes to have a release and shout at people. There's an enjoyment to it from my side as well. So I know everybody wants to put everything back on the content creators and say to all of us, don't rise to it. But why the fuck should we have to read the shit that we read? Why should I have to be subjected to people coming in and calling me an egg or a bald nonce or a fat prick? I don't see you running around after them, telling them to stop it. So why should the onus be on me to be the moral bastion here? It shouldn't be. It should be on everybody equally. And I'll do what the fuck I want. I keep telling you. It's my channel. I'll run it how I see fit. I think I'm doing okay, you know. I'm not perfect. I've never claimed to be, but nor are you or anybody else. Thanks for a first day back, by the way, which I was looking forward to all day, which has just been fucking wonderful for the last 15 minutes. Thank you for that. I'm hoping to do an audio podcast with regards to a subject I'm interested in for a hobby. How do I get into podcasting? I was writing articles for Anfield Index. Anfield Index then had a podcast called the Writers Podcast where people who wrote articles discussed other articles. And that's how I got into podcasting. Then somebody showed me how to record and edit a podcast. And just kind of went from there, really, in all honesty. But I love podcasting. It's a very different thing to doing this. Because obviously it's, when I was doing it, Susie, it was just audio. So you didn't get instant feedback or anything like that. So yeah, it's a very different format to doing this. Craig, a Scouser living in Italy, love the show, stop explaining yourself, keep doing what you do, my friend. Thank you, David. What part of Italy are you in, mate? Just out of curiosity. I had the pleasure of being to Italy once and I've never eaten better, mate. I won't lie to you, I've never eaten better than when I was in Italy, man. That food was delicious. The most honest fan channel in the world, which is why we love you. Thank you, man. That's very kind of you. But as I keep saying, don't need to give me credit. It's all of us. It's always been all of us from day one. You know, I don't take any credit for the channel's success. I think it's played by all of us, because without you guys and without your interaction and your support and your fun and your humour and your kindness to each other, we ain't anything. We're a community. That's what I've always said. This is about all of us together. My nephew has a podcast called The Talking Bollocks. Do you listen? I don't listen, but I definitely know of it. I think my wife might listen. I'm not joking. I've definitely heard of the podcast. 100%. What happened to the Anfield Agenda one? That's a Connor question, Paul. In all honesty, mate. Connor used to pull the audio and put them onto the podcast networks. I don't know where we're at with that at the minute, mate, but I will look into it. Because I want to get a podcast back properly, like a dedicated podcast. Where do you see Darwin's future under the new manager? Really tough to know. Really tough to know. I hope he has a bright future under the next manager because I love Darwin. And I still think there's a lot more to come from him. So, yeah, hopefully a bright one. But until we know the setup of the next coaching system manager, sporting director, it's really difficult to figure out what the future is going to be. And also, there's 3 big contract renewals that need to be sorted out between Verge, Trent and Mo. They're all out of contract a year at the end of this season. So I hope, certainly, and I don't know what to expect with Mo, but I would hope that Verge and Trent would be fairly straightforward negotiations. Craig, it's like everything, the minority spoiled it for the majority. I just don't like the onus always being on us to take the moral high ground. It's tiring sometimes. Why should we have to put up with this snarky, shitty comments? It'd be a lot easier if they were the people that were hounded out while the rest of us just had a laugh. Now look, what that gentleman said earlier on about me sometimes misinterpreting the comments, that's fair. That's true. And I do it. I've tried to explain why. It's the only time I've ever brought Asperger's or autism into it because it's real, that reason. Doesn't excuse it. Doesn't excuse that I misinterpret some comments. And just giving you context and trying to say with the old emojis, it helps a lot. And also, I'm a cranky old man. Let's not forget that. I'm a cranky old bastard. What are your thoughts on the blue card? I think it's nonsensical, SG. Honestly, of all the things they want to try and sort out in football, let's get right what we have at the minute, before we start adding in more stuff to try and get to grips with. I'd like to know what the handball rule is. I've said this for a long time now. Pundits, TV channels, managers, players, nobody seems to know what is and isn't the handball in the penalty area anymore. Even in the leagues, you look at it, Serie A handball and a penalty given, and it definitely wouldn't be given in the Premier League, or a Premier League one that wouldn't be given in La Liga. It's just, there's so much inconsistency of a very simple rule that I'd like to see them focus on those things first. And offside, yes. I love the semi-automated offside because it removes human bias or human mistakes. So yeah, I'd love to see it brought in, but the fact the Premier League have doubts about it based off the Premier League's chief football officer's report, we'll have to wait and see what happens. What's the Alonso news? Basically, that Leverkusen have been looking at Julian Lopetegui, trying to convince him to come take over when Alonso leaves, which would mean Alonso's leaving, which would mean he's most likely coming to Liverpool. Do you think Man City will be found guilty of their charges? I don't think they'll be found guilty of all of them. No, I think they will find a defence to some of them, but there's 115, so I can't see them getting off with all of them. No, the real question is going to be how are they punished for the ones that they may be found guilty of. And remember, they can't appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So unlike when they had the UEFA ban, they appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport and it was overturned. The Premier League don't answer to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. It's in their rules. So that's what I'm intrigued by in all of this. And also I find it weird that the Premier League have already announced that they have a date set for the hearing. Remember now, they've already been charged with these. So this is them trying to, they've been charged, so now that they've got to make their defence, everybody's entitled to make a defence. That's the process. You have to respect it. But I don't know, the secrecy of it all is annoying. Why can't the public know when the hearing's taking place? I feel like the Premier League stakeholders, particularly the other clubs, should certainly have that information. Right, my friends, I'm going to call it a night and grab a shower. It's been great to be back for 2 live streams today and a video. I've missed you all a lot over the last 5 days when I've been unwell and unable to stream. So it's great to be back and spending some time with you all again. So I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you again for your time tonight. Appreciate all of your input and chats. And yeah, wish you all health and happiness, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.